Perfect. Awesome. Hi, everyone. It's so great to see you again. I know it wasn't too long ago that I was talking about pitching, like Shauna just said. And I'm just going to share my screen. All right. Can everyone see that? Shauna, can you see that?
Perfect. Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So today I'm going to talk about building your business in a rural community. And this is not a science presentation, but I just noticed that that's still in there. Like I was just saying to Shauna, we have been on the road, mostly in the air, since a couple of weeks ago, currently in San Diego, flying to Vegas today. And super happy that I can, zoom in and be here today. But yes, one thing that happened is sometimes some things get missed, putting a presentation together at an airport or in a co-working space. So forgive me for that, but maybe we can consider it as a science presentation. There's probably some scientific research that could back some of this up. So to start off, hopefully everyone that's on here was on the last presentation, but if you weren't, I am the co-founder and CEO of FanSaves. My partner, Chris McCarthy, would have loved to be here again. He went to Vegas yesterday, and like I said, I'm flying in today. So unfortunately, he couldn't be here. He sends his best. So you're stuck with me again, but one of these days, hopefully you will get to meet him as well. So before I start, I just want to tell you a little bit more about myself. So, I always say, like, my heart is in Cornwall. I moved to Cornwall when I was 9 years old from Montreal. Grew up, playing competitive hockey for the Cornwall Typhoons. I went to St. Lawrence High School. Then it changed to CBEC halfway through. So I'm sharing this because, I like to let people know that, in my heart, I am just a small town girl. I might be, doing a lot of travel for work and pitching on a lot of stages and doing a lot of really cool things. But Cornwall, I always say, like, is in my blood. I moved back, in 2015 after my mom passed away, and I needed to be closer to friends and family. And it was really the best decision that I ever made. My business and FanSaves wouldn't exist if I didn't actually move back to Cornwall when I did. And I also believe it wouldn't grow the way it has in any other city. So everyone here, whether you're in Cornwall, SDNG, Akwesasne, you have a really great opportunity to tap into what is, the Cornwall, Eastern Ontario community. So a little bit more, I know last time, assuming most people have seen that presentation, I talked about, how we've grown Cornwall, how we've grown FanSaves from Cornwall and now just outside in South Glengarry. I always like to remind people that just because you're in a smaller region, it doesn't mean that you need to think small when it comes to growth. A lot of times, we put those boundaries on ourselves. We put those things in place that say, oh, well, I can't grow. I live in a small town in Eastern Ontario, or I'm just going to grow, in my hometown. I'm just going to grow here. And you know what? That is totally fine. And I'll get to that in a second. If that is your goal, if you only want to be a small local business, then that is amazing. If you do have that bigger mindset of, where else can my business grow? I always like to say it can grow anywhere. I put these two pictures from like then and now. Last time I spoke about how Chris and I actually met when we were working for the Cornwall Nationals, right here in Cornwall, right there in Cornwall. And I'm just gonna fix that for a second. And who would have thought, one, that Cornwall would get a minor professional hockey team in 2016. And then, Chris, being a player, breaks his finger, comes to the front office. We meet, we end up, creating FanSaves. And, just recently, we were like invited to lunch at the US Ambassador of Canada's residence in Ottawa. So we've come so far, we've done so much since 2017 and the inception of our business. And it's oftentimes Chris and I, we take moments to be grateful, to look back and to say, wow, we did start this business from a small town, and we are being recognized on those international stages in big conferences, and people know who we are. And oftentimes we're like, we're just from little old Cornwall. By the way, Chris grew up in Orleans. He's from Ottawa, but he did move here in 2016. So we have captured him, and he is now a Cornwall SDNG lifetimer. So today these are some of the things that we're going to chat about. 5 key points: defining your own goals, creating a really strong business, networking and how important it is to network, being patient, and then growing from everywhere and anywhere. One of the cool things is, I mentioned this last time I presented, just recently, 2 Fridays ago, I won a 40 under 40 in Ottawa. We have a satellite office in Ottawa. We do a lot of work there, and it was just a really great recognition to win an award that's so prestigious, and that really shows, again, that you can start your business in Eastern Ontario, but then really be recognized on a bigger stage. So to start off, I always like to remind people, especially, I know when I'm speaking, sometimes I speak from a place of, a startup, and I speak from a place of this, international growth and this travel that I do, but I recognize that not everyone here has those same goals. So before, you really set out on your growth journey, I think it's really important to define what your goals are and what kind of business you are and what kind of business you're aiming to be. So, are you a small business? Are you hoping to be a large business? Are you a startup? Are you hoping to franchise, or do you franchise? There's so many different types of businesses, a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a corporation. And I think, when people start out, even when I started out, I told this story last time, I thought I thought FanSaves was just a small business. I had no clue what a startup was. And it was about 6 months in that I realized, oh, right, we're not a small business. So I think it's really important to dig deep into what your business is, dig deep into what you want and your goals. And from there, you can really create a strategic plan. I know when you start a business, sometimes you're just kind of, going off the whim of things. You're just really, trying to get your feet on the ground. And it can be really hard. And I know this CBEC program has probably helped a lot of people. But, really, really recognize what your end goal is, what you want to be in your heart, not just like what people are telling you should be. There's going to be a lot of people out there that say, oh, you should just, have a brick and mortar store and just stay there. And, and if that's what you want, that's great. But if you want more, why not? So I had this question last time and I thought I'd include it. So because FanSaves is a startup, so sometimes I totally understand that I talk and I present more from the startup side. But if you're wondering if you're a small business or a startup, a couple of key points. If you're a small business, you've really created your business for the purpose of entrepreneurship to serve a local market. Your goal at the end of the day is to stay in business. Oftentimes small businesses, they fund their company through debt financing. And just one second, I'm going to get my charger and be right back so that I don't lose you. It is right here. I just have to plug it in. The joys of living in an Airbnb. I like to say, like, everyone sees the nice pictures on Instagram, but they don't see the behind the scenes. You guys get to see some of that today. Okay, perfect. All right. So, yeah. what I like to I think that one of the biggest differences between small business and startup is the financing part. So oftentimes a small business will, get debt financing. So get a loan from the bank, or, my goodness, stuttering, government funding from programs like this. They might take out a personal line of credit. That is usually, and it's paid back as they grow and as they make sales. A startup is a little bit different. They have a goal of disrupting the market. Startups often have a wide reach, so they're looking to, reach more people than just a local market. Usually funded by investment, bootstrapping, giving away that equity to grow your business, and and the ultimate goal for a startup is, the plans to eventually get acquired, the plans to eventually IPO and go public, and so on. Can you see this up at the top, the Zoom bars? Can everyone see that? Shauna, I'm trying to, I might make this a little smaller and then see if I can go back in, because I know it's kind of
Yes, sorry, I'm talking and my mute's on. Yes.
I'm going to hide.
We can just see the presentation like right now from my
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's great. I just didn't want it to be in anyone's way. Perfect. So that's kind of over the quick synopsis of the difference between a small business and a startup. So, either or, both are amazing. Both can really bring you a lot of joy, and both can really grow. Like a small business can still, be an amazing avenue for growth, and for, living your dreams as well. But I noticed that some small businesses, they're like, oh, I opened a, like a, I don't know, a dessert shop maybe. And they're like, oh, come check out my startup. There is a difference. And if you're in business, you should know that difference. So just a small key takeaway. The second point that I'd love to talk about is creating a strong business. So making sure that you're building a business that can succeed anywhere. So, oftentimes if your goal is to, build a large franchise or a large business or a startup, you are setting yourself up to grow, to succeed. And sometimes, if you have a smaller business, I also owned a small business before FanSaves. I owned a marketing agency here in Cornwall. And, it's so important. Like sometimes you want to grow quickly, you want to, get your customers in the door, and sometimes that's necessary. But it's so important to make sure that you're setting that foundation up before you're, looking to grow. So many people, will, go to step 8 when they're not even done like step 1 or 2. So make sure that you have that really good business model. Make sure you've defined your market. How are you going to make money? Who are you selling to? And then make sure you have a really good product or service, and make sure you have strong people behind you. So whether that's employees, whether that's your advisory board, whether that's like just your cheerleaders that are cheering you on, bring strong, really good energy people into your life, because they are all part of your team. They're part of your village. And that's part of creating a strong business. A lot of entrepreneurs feel lonely. Entrepreneurship is and can be a very lonely place. A lot of people will not understand what you're doing. A lot of people will think you're crazy. You're not. But if they don't get it, like, it's cool. See them on the weekend, see them after hours. Bring people that are motivating you. Bring people that are lifting you up and teaching you things. Bring those people into your village. Bring those people into your tribe. That is all part of creating a strong business, because if you have negative energy coming in all the time and telling you, oh, this is a dumb idea, or you can't do this, or you're never going to get there, or like, oh, you live in Cornwall, you can't grow a big company. those people aren't going to help you get anywhere. And then going back to having a good product or service, that's so, so important. Always be making sure that your product or your service can grow, can be what you want it to be. Even if you're starting, you just put something out there, make sure that you're constantly making it better. So a little bit more about our FanSaves success. We early on, like I said, it was about 6 months in, not super early, but we defined ourselves as a startup. We recognized, we were looking to disrupt a market. We were looking to create something that didn't exist before. And, we launched an MVP. So an MVP in startup terms is a minimum viable product. So a very bare bones product. If you have like a brick and mortar store, your MVP might be like that, that first storefront that you have that you're constantly, redecorating or making to look better. MVP is more of a tech term, but we launched that, we got it out, we listened to our customers, we listened to our users, and we continued to reiterate, we continued to improve it. We didn't just say, okay, here's our business, it's going to stay like this and we're good. We really continued and continue to listen to what people are saying. And part of that as well is, growing a strong team behind us and always being resilient. At FanSaves, we always say, we are only where we are today because of our resiliency. We often say, whether it's, starting a business, raising investment, growing, growing globally, I like to say it's like constantly getting kicked in the face and constantly getting back up and saying like, not today, I'm not giving up, I'm gonna continue going. And a lot of people won't see that. A lot of people see FanSaves and they see what Chris and I do and they're like, wow, that looks awesome. And it is 100% an amazing experience. I love our business. People don't see the blood, sweat, and tears. They're not gonna see that. Like, I try my best to share that. I'm sharing it with you, but like, people aren't, one, they might see it, they might even ignore it. They might only want to see the good things. So be sure that your definition of success is yours only, and make sure that like for us, our definition of success is never giving up. We never give up no matter what. And we have been, pulled down way more than anyone will ever know. So that is part of our success. And that is what has kind of launched our business across North America. So my third point today is networking. And I touched on this a little bit last time, but I'm going to touch on it a little bit more because it's so, so important. So Chris and I talk about this, and our team talk about this all the time. Who is sometimes, I would say more often than not, as important as what you know and what you sell. Do not underestimate the power of networking. If you're a business owner and networking, freaks you out, you have to kind of get over that hurdle and put yourself out there. There are multiple ways to network though. I'll talk about LinkedIn a little bit. Social media, people, they think social media is just about posting content. Social media can be a really great way to network and build your community. Pitch competitions, like I talked about last time, networking events, joining a chamber or a BIA, those things are important. Those will grow your network and bring new people in front of you. And then, courses and classes like CBEC, like, Win This Space, doing these different things and getting to know other entrepreneurs in your cohort, that is really important because that's going to help you feel less alone. And you never know who you're going to meet that is going to introduce you to the next person that's going to be your biggest sale or, a wholesale purchase or be your next big client. So you never, ever know. We say our network is like a spider web, and it is so incredible when you look at like someone we met, 4 years ago who introduced us to someone else, who introduced us to someone else, who is now closing a deal with us. It is essential. Like this is, if you do want to grow a global business, if you want to grow outside even of Cornwall and Eastern Ontario, if you have that dream to get big, then you have to network. Even if you have the dream just to stay in Cornwall, have like one brick and mortar location, you cannot ignore networking. Like you just can't. This is something that you can't miss out on. And I talked about LinkedIn last time. I know I can't see you, but I hope that some people went home and created their LinkedIn account, and at least, tried to teach themselves a little bit more about it. The more content that you're posting and the more that you're engaging on LinkedIn, the more that you're going to build your community on LinkedIn. So I would encourage you again, if you haven't, after this presentation, go home, or if you're at home, create your LinkedIn account and actually use it. Go and connect with people, connect with people even that you might have went to college with, people like long lost friends. You could start building your network. It doesn't have to be strangers. But I very, very much encourage that. LinkedIn has been the number one tool that we've used to grow FanSaves. And I can't talk about it enough. But I also like to talk about other social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Oftentimes, some people like try to do it all. Like they try to, grow really big on every single platform. I don't necessarily recommend that. Like again, outside of LinkedIn, if you have a channel that you already have a strong network on, use that. Like for me, Twitter has never really been a big, a huge tool, like growth tool for me. I have a Twitter, I post, I have followers, but that's not where I'm getting that engagement. Facebook and Instagram is where I get my engagement. So I focus on those. And it's really important that you're not just posting a picture of your service, a picture of your product. It's important to take half an hour, 20 minutes a day, more if you have free time, and go on social media, be liking, be posting, be commenting, be following other, businesses, other people that are doing similar things to you, that are in the same kind of network. You can't just put a picture up on social on your business page and then just hope that someone's going to like it and then be sad that there's like 4 people that have engaged. Social media is always changing. The algorithms are going to only show you certain things. It can be really discouraging. Consistently posting, even if you think no one is seeing it, is so important. But making sure that you're posting on that platform that really does the most for you. If you have a business that isn't gonna really do well on Instagram, or you hate Instagram, don't focus on that. You don't have to put your energy into that. Put it into Facebook instead. Figure out what works for you, but that is a network. Social media, social networking is a really great way, especially to expand your brand and your personal brand and your business brand outside of just Cornwall. Anyone from anywhere in the world can see your business.
Actually, Shannon, I was just going to mention that that's a really good point, because often when you think about networking, you kind of think of the in-person going to a networking event, but networking also transcends into social media, and not just by posting, but by connecting with people within your network, or who follow you, or followers who you are following, so that you can branch out that way as well. So that's a good takeaway for everyone. And I also noticed a few comments saying that people haven't, some people have connected to LinkedIn, some have yet to do so. But like Shannon said, it would be a great idea, and it doesn't take very long. It's pretty fast to connect.
Awesome. Thanks, Shauna. Yeah, it definitely, social media, when you're in business, you can't look at social media like you would as just a user. You have to look at it as strategy. Chris is our strategy guru. I mentioned that he uses LinkedIn all the time, and That's how we get so many big meetings. We're connecting with people. And then, you know, again, Facebook and LinkedIn, for me, I've been able to meet so many people through those through those channels. So when you have a business page on social media, you have to look at it differently than your own personal social media page. And you, like Shauna said, it is a networking channel. And for some people, if you don't like networking events, if you don't like, you know, getting like being in front of people, if those things kind of like, you know, give you anxiety, then you should be focusing on the social part. But that goes to my next point. If you can, you know, attend those networking events, attend them, even if it's virtually. This is almost like a networking event. So you being here today, like, give yourself a pat on the back. You showed up, and even if it's virtual, everyone on here, you know, what I usually do, I know I'm sharing my screen. What I usually do on a virtual networking or a virtual event I attend, I screenshot every single person on that call, in that event, and I go to LinkedIn after and I add them to LinkedIn, and then we like become friends and we chat outside of the virtual setting. So there are ways. You have to be scrappy, but there's ways to build that network. But yes, in-person events, nothing beats them. Last week, we were in Allentown, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, for the American Hockey League meetings. A lot of these people we have had, you know, virtual calls with, and a lot of them have been, you know, yeah, we like FanSaves, or like, yeah, we're on the fence, let's talk. These in-person meetings closed us 6 deals in 2 days. Like, nothing beats sharing a beer with someone that you want to close. Like, there is nothing like it. You cannot do that virtually. It was an incredible experience after, again, 2 years of not having a conference like that. What we're going to Vegas, what I'm going to Vegas for today is the East Coast Hockey League meetings. And these are going to be just the same. Chris got there last night. He's already set up 3 meetings. So don't think that virtual always replaces in person. You cannot handshake with someone. You cannot hug someone. You cannot see like a long lost friend who might be in the market for saxophone mouthpieces who you don't know, and you can sit down and chat about that. So definitely, if you can go to those networking events, show up. I also like to say that networking is like so reciprocal. You can't just always assume that everyone's going to do your networking for you and make those introductions. Introductions are key to networking, but you also have to be the one sometimes to step up and introduce someone that you might know that could help someone else. That is like the key to business that most people don't talk about, is like everything is like reciprocity. Like, I always say, give before you take. I always say, how can I help you? Who can I introduce you to? And I swear it comes back tenfold. So many people are so focused, so stressed out. They just need to, you know, pay their electric bill, that they are not focusing on, there's someone right here who you could introduce to someone else who's going to remember that, who then might actually be your number one seller. So think outside of the box and make sure to make those introductions. Takes 2 seconds. Like, it literally takes 2 seconds. I usually make at least 3 or 4 introductions a week between people in my network, whether it's mostly via email for me. I used to do it over LinkedIn. I like email better. You could do it over social media, text, carrier pigeon. I don't care. Make those introductions. And then, yeah, just going, like, kind of circling back to everything I said, just putting yourself out there, saying yes, raising your hand, standing up, being a good person goes a really long way in business. We've been all taught, you know, you watch Glengarry Glen Ross, or you watch like everything going on Wall Street, and you think that like business is being assertive and being mean and, you know, just going for the throat. Like, that is not the reality. Like, the reality of growing a business, especially in a rural community like Cornwall, like SDNG, like Akwesasne, is being nice, being kind, giving back, helping out. That is going to get you way more customers and make you way more money than if you are like trying to be like a badass on Wall Street. It's just the way it is, because people talk, people know each other. You need to make sure that you have that great reputation. And just going back to showing up, like show up wherever it is. You showed up today, show up, even if you feel like you're not oh my God, I'm tired, or oh my God, I don't have time, or oh my God, my kids are being like rascals. Like find a way to show up. It will always, always, always pay off. Even if in the moment you think, oh my God, that didn't really pay off. I promise you, somewhere down the road, someone's going to say, oh, I saw you there. Hey, like I saw you on that virtual event, or I saw you at that pub night. I saw you because you showed up. No one can see you if you don't show up. I showed this slide last time. I figured I'd show it again just because it is kind of relevant with the travel that I'm doing right now, being currently in San Diego. This is where business has brought us. These are just some of the places. And in all of these places, we have met so many people. We have met people that have, propelled our business forward. And I totally understand that there's some people here, your business might not take you outside of Canada, might not take you outside of Ontario or even Eastern Ontario. But if your goal is to become a global brand or a bigger brand, just know that you can do it. Like, know that it's possible. I put these pictures in here because Chris and I are always, always so grateful. We live our life with such gratitude. And we say 4 years ago, we always said, oh my God, when we'll know that there is success when FanSaves allows us to travel for work. For us, that was one of our goals that we set out, like I talked about at the beginning. When for us, traveling for work was something that we had our sights set on and that we've made a reality. If, traveling to Phoenix or California isn't on your to-do list, that's okay. But what are your goals? What do you want to do? What defines success for you? Because for me, when I look at this and I can represent Cornwall on these international stages, for me, that is something that's so, so important. A small little town, a small town girl from Eastern Ontario in a city that no one's heard of in Phoenix, Arizona, can say, yeah, I'm from a small town. I have shitty internet in Martintown and I can still grow a business. Why can't you? And they're like, oh my goodness, cool. We're like Cornwall. I'm going to visit Cornwall. It sounds like a great place. So representing where you're from is also really important. And I do that all the time. I posted a picture yesterday in San Diego with a bag of happy popcorn. I brought happy popcorn from downtown Cornwall to San Diego, and I shared it when we were co-working, and everyone was like, this is amazing. It's better than anything I've ever tasted. Again, going back to networking, how can I help someone else? I just posted happy popcorn and everyone brought it to San Diego, and everyone's like, oh my God, they should open up here. How can you help others, even when you're not at home in town? My fourth tip, I guess, is to be patient. Recognizing that most businesses are a 10-year, there's an extra S in here, a 10-year overnight success. And I missed the S at the end of success. Excuse me. It's the California sun. I got a sunburn the other day. You have to forgive me for the spelling mistakes. I'm a stickler for grammar. So when I see it, I like to call myself out. Be patient. Business is hard. Growing a business in a small community is harder. We're not in Silicon Valley where, angels and VCs are writing, $1 million checks. It's hard. And it's hard when you see other companies and other businesses growing and you feel like you're staying the same, and you feel like, oh, maybe it's because I'm in a small town. Maybe it's because I don't have the resources. Maybe. Most businesses fail because they're not patient. People just say, granted, we just got through a pandemic. I'm talking about, take the last 2 years out of the equation. Most people aren't patient. They, when we started FanSaves, we thought we'd make $1 million in the first 3 years. That didn't happen. But we stayed patient and we didn't give up. And I think, pivoting is so important. If there's something in your business that you're doing that isn't working, learn what's not working and fix it. keep learning, keep reiterating, keep changing. What is selling the most? Whatever is selling the most, sell that, sell more of that. If something's not selling, don't sell it. Like, listen to people. Oftentimes we have these ideas in our head about, oh, this is going to be great, this is what everyone wants, when in reality it's something completely different that you didn't even think of, but someone has, like, multiple people have told you this would actually be really great, this is what I want. You don't dictate what your business sells most. You don't dictate what the customers want. We can make those guesses, we can, definitely make educated guesses, but at the end of the day, your customer, your paying client, is the person that is dictating what they want. And that sucks sometimes, especially if you put a lot of, like, effort into one thing and then recognize that it's something else. I also like to mention here, like, don't be discouraged. A good friend of mine, my neighbor, she's a wonderful wood burner, and she's been going to vendors all around. And she's been building a community, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And she's been, like, word of mouth has really been great for her. But she was discouraged because on Instagram, she didn't have as many followers as she liked, or as much engagement. And I told her, I said, well, like, look at the word of mouth, look at the wholesale order you just did, look at what you're doing in real life. That's good. That you're finding success. Just because you don't have thousands of Instagram followers, if you're making money, that always outweighs your number of followers that you have on social media. So, like, don't be discouraged by what you think you should be doing, or like what looks good to other people. If you, at the end of the day, are making money and you have money in your hand and you're profitable or almost profitable, like, that's good. The world is set up today to make everyone feel discouraged. Don't feel discouraged in your, journey and your patient's journey. So this is my last slide, and then I'll open up for questions. But yeah, going back from growing from anywhere, it's like there's never been an easier time in life to grow a business anywhere in the world. Like, again, you can have these meetings, you can show up from anywhere. We live in this connected world, and the internet is totally your friend. It's so important to recognize that. Like 10, 20, 30 years ago, people would be like, whoa, they're on, what's Zoom? Like, they're talking to each other on their computers. Like, we have to, like, recognize that we are in this really amazing opportunistic place where we can grow from anywhere. And the goal, obviously, is to, have those roots in Cornwall and have those roots in Eastern Ontario, and be able to say, like, look, we did it from the middle of nowhere, basically. And that is true success. Not that Cornwall's the middle of nowhere, South Glengarry maybe, but it's literally, there are so many ways to grow. I showed this slide last time. We have a team of 10 full-time employees. We have employees in the US, employees out in BC, Toronto, Ottawa. Like, we have grown from Cornwall into, like, a complete workforce across North America, because I would say COVID was actually, we like to say, like, it was actually kind of good for our business in a way, because it allowed us to go completely remote. It allowed us to open up our talent pool. It allowed us to bring in people from anywhere. And that is the beauty of the internet. And then our advisory board, like, again, most of these people we've met through networking, through LinkedIn, through meeting someone who introduced us to someone else, who introduced us to someone else. This slide and any, like, of these connections we made, any of these awards and recognitions we've got, have all come back to building a strong team, building community, and really continuing to put ourselves out there. The internet, again, is your friend. You can work from anywhere, even on your phone. You can connect with people from around the world. When I talked about social media earlier, I wasn't lying. You can literally connect with people on the other side of the planet. I had a podcast maybe 2 months ago with the guy that reached out to me that had me on his podcast is from Australia. I was meeting with him at like 6 o'clock at night and it was a completely different day there for him. Like there are so many opportunities. And, you know, a lot of times, like putting your business out in front of the world is really, really scary. I get that. Because people can, like, you're basically showing like your heart and soul, and people might not like it, or they might make fun of you or whatever. Put it out anyway. Who are you trying to impress? At the end of the day, put your product, your service, your business, whether it's a small business, a big business, a startup, put it out in front of the world. Share your journey. I talked about this last time, because no one will know who you are if you don't share your journey, which gets me into this one of my last slides. You are so fortunate to be part of this, you know, CBEC and Starter Company Plus program, because you're already in this entrepreneurial ecosystem now. And this in itself is a small but mighty community. There's so many business programs, and some people say, oh, I don't want to apply because, you know, I have to focus on my business. I have to focus on this. I'm too busy. Apply. Like I said this last time, put yourself out there, because you never know who you're going to meet. And again, building that strong referral network, your customers, you know, the people that are already buying from you, get referrals from them. Get those referrals, put them on your website, put them on social media. You already have people that love what you do. Use those people to spread the word. And then once you want to grow bigger, reach out to other people and ask them, hey, can you make this introduction for me? Because you've already helped them. But yeah, nothing beats word of mouth. When you have happy clients who are sharing their happy stories, nothing is going to beat that. Cornwall is really, really well known for word of mouth. If you can, you know, build a business, build a product, build a service, in Cornwall, that's like a really good way to start. And, you know, sometimes it might be hard, and sometimes it might be like, why don't more people know me? Why don't more people know what I'm doing? Like, I'm doing something really, really great. Why aren't more people walking into my store? It goes back to being patient. Like sometimes it just goes literally back to being patient. Sharing your journey, again, people can't support you if they don't know you exist. And last, like, know your audience. Really, really understand who you're targeting. A lot of times when you start a business, you're just like putting everything out there for everyone and hoping, keeping your fingers and toes crossed that, you know, someone will come into your store, or someone will come into, like, onto your site, or someone's going to buy from you. Really understanding your audience is so important. And that goes back to your community. When you can know your audience, you can build these little micro communities around you. And then they can all really help lift you up. And then I like to say, have thick skin as well. This is a quote by Dita Von Teese that I always think about. I always remind people of. It says, you can be the juiciest, ripest peach in the world, and there will still be somebody who hates peaches. If you have, you know, a hater, if you have someone, you know, that like doesn't like what you're doing, or, you know, isn't part of your tribe or your village, that's great. Forget about them. Like, that person is not going to be part of your tribe. So, you know, don't let the haters get you down. You can oftentimes feel in a smaller community, oh my God, like no one gets me, everyone hates me, da 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 da. That's most likely not true. But just remember that the people that like peaches, the people that like what you do, are going to love you. And that is really what matters most. Keep learning. There are so many digital tools out there. We have learned all of these different things in our tech stack. Continue learning new skills. There are so many, again, going back to living in a digital age, there are so many ways that, you know, we can grow our business with tools that can help. These are just some that we use, Trello and Canva and HubSpot. But use the digital tools that are at your fingertips, and then have that growth mindset. Believe in what you're doing. Believe that the world wants it. Create it, nurture it, continue to grow it. And at the end of the day, connect with us. When you, if you, again, I said this last time, but if you have any questions, we want to connect. I know there were a couple of people that connected with me after the last the last presentation about pitching. But yeah, like reach out. I'm here and Chris is here and we want you to succeed. So feel free to connect with us. We're so grateful again that we got a second chance to present, and big thank you to Shannon and CBEC for giving us this opportunity, and hopefully it helps you in even the tiniest of ways. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Well, thanks, Shannon. I was curious because I know that since you do travel all over the place and you meet a variety of different kinds of people in various different settings, how do you kind of, do you have something that your go-to is to introduce yourself? Like if you're in a crowd of people that you're not familiar with, what is your first thing to do? Like how do you approach people that you're not sure of?
I am probably best known for like smiling at everyone. Like I always like just smile and like make eye contact. And oftentimes like it's literally just like extending your hand and handshaking someone. At the American Hockey League meetings that we were just at last week, we actually created a lookbook. So we had a list of every single person that was going to be there. We had one of our marketing coordinators actually put it all together with their pictures from LinkedIn, with their titles, with the teams that they're from. And we actually studied this during our travel. So we knew who was going to be there from every single team. So that, you know, we could be like, oh yeah, hey Christina, like how's it going, da, 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 da. And you know, then it kind of is that icebreaker. Chris, you know, I mentioned this last time, as a hockey player, has had so many concussions, he often will forget like who he's met before. So there's this really good tip that actually someone gave me not too long ago, but oftentimes when you're at a networking event, it's really good to say like, it's so nice to see you, not like see you again, not nice to meet you, so nice to see you. Because if you've met that person before, then you're seeing them. If you haven't met them, it's still nice to see you. It is, so that has really helped my networking game, where it's just like you put your hand out and you're like, it's so nice to see you. And that is really has like upped my introduction game, Shauna. And for Chris as well, if I remember the person and I know we've met, I'm like, you remember Chris? And then Chris knows, okay, we've met. And then he's like, yeah. So oftentimes, especially in larger networking settings, sometimes you have to just like improv and be like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? I remember that. Sometimes you don't. I go into it as like, okay, this is like, let's, you know, put our best foot forward and meet as many people, and really just smiling is often the best way to like catch someone's attention.
That's a good tip. Are there any other questions on how to take your small business from small community out into the world, and how to reach not only your immediate market, but potential markets within our surrounding area? Because we have some really big ones that are kind of right next door.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. I mean, if anyone does have any questions, I'd love to answer them. But even if you want to reach out after, I always say, like, always be learning as well. Like always be asking questions, always be reaching out to people. Like I still reach out to people who have done it. I never want to be like the smartest person in the room. I always want to surround myself with smart people, smarter people than me, who've done it before, who know what they're doing, who can offer me advice. If you go into a room and think you're the smartest person or that no one can help you, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. I always like to go into a room and say, how can I learn today? How can I be better? Who can help me? And accepting that help has been really beneficial.
Excellent. There is a question about how do you, Sebastian asked if there's a way to label yourself as made in Canada or made in Cornwall. That's a really good suggestion for made in Cornwall. I'll have to talk to Bob about that one. But There is a made in Ontario and a made in Canada. I just shared the link for made in Ontario, so it'd be worthwhile checking that out for anyone who's interested. It's you sign up for it. Okay, well,
Love
thank
that.
you so much, Shannon. Again, it was full of information, and it's really great that you can share your personal experience and really relate it back to here, to where we live, and make those connections, hopefully for new business owners that are just starting out, also trying to make the connections themselves and hopefully grow their own businesses.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And I have, again, I said it at the beginning, like I have such a, a tight connection to Cornwall. Like Cornwall is my home. I want, people to succeed in Cornwall. I want people to feel that they can do it, and you all can do it. You're already here. And I think that, just keep going, don't give up.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy your trip. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thanks.
much.
Have a good week.